I made an alien live event in Fortnite!
Time's up.
Okay, so maybe I recreated the scene from one of my favorite alien movies, Independence Day. This is right when the aliens attack major cities around the world, and I thought it would be fun to recreate it in Fortnite. Considering that tomorrow Season 7 is starting and aliens have been all over the map in Fortnite, it just seemed to make sense to me. So today I'm going to show you how I built this awesome map, the city, the spaceship, and the mechanics behind the cinematic sequence. But before we do that, we have a sponsor for this video! One of the things I love about Fortnite is all the different communities in it. There's the casuals, there's the creative, and then there's competitive. I always have loved watching the competitive scene, but I've always felt it's kind of inaccessible for someone like me, whose skill level is, let's be honest guys, it's not great. But Z-League, who is our sponsor today, is a really amazing website that allows someone like me to go and compete with other people that are my skill level and just have fun dipping my toes into the competitive scene. They're currently hosting free entry tournaments every week with cash prizes up for grabs. You just sign up to play and you can win real money. Z-League has created this really cool algorithm that takes all of your Fortnite stats and then places you in games with people of similar skill levels. It's all run very similar to the tournaments you've seen the pros play, and this even works for console, mobile, and PC gamers. So this is really cool, and I highly encourage you guys to go and check it out. I've left a link in the description below so you can go and sign up for the next tournament. All right guys, let's jump into the video. Now to start my build, I actually used my old map that I built of the New York Stock Exchange when the Stunk skin came out, and if you want to see how I built the Stock Exchange, make sure you go and watch that video. But I started out by taking out the brick road that's in front of the Stock Exchange and replacing it with a normal road with white lines down the center. Then I just started copying and pasting some of the walls and buildings I had already built on the left side of the map. My goal here was to have a variety of different types of buildings, but not to take too much time on the details of them. Next, it was time to put in some good old New York traffic. Not just any old traffic, but aliens are invading panic traffic. Next, I put in a few streetlights because this was gonna be at night, and I was basically done the main part of the city. Now it was time to move on to the Empire State Building. This is the centerpiece of this build, and the most important part of this was making sure I got the right perspective of the building when you're looking at it from down the street. So you can see me here going back and forth and trying to make sure I'm gonna get the right perspective. With my positioning down just the way I wanted it, this building was actually pretty easy. Some of the things that make the Empire State Building interesting are just the layers of the different floors. You can see there's some parts that are sticking out. You can see that it layers down as it goes up, and then of course the very top. Now for the top, I actually used this bank piece, which wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for this map, and I just had to resize it smaller and smaller as it went up, and it kind of had the effect that I wanted for the top of the Empire State Building. And then I also used the piece from the dark tilted galleries to top off the whole building. Now it was time to move on to the main ship. The first thing I wanted to do was make sure my ship was centered directly above the top of the Empire State Building, so I used the ring galleries to set up guides, not just to where it was placed, but for the entire ship. I grabbed this piece from the giant robot base gallery and blew it up as big as it could go and placed them along as far as I could go. Now I ran into some problems because the edge of the map was closer than I was expecting, and so I had to make the ship smaller than I wanted it to be. But once I had my spokes set up, then I could do the circle trick, which you know there's a video on my channel that you can look up if you want to know how to do the circle trick. But once that was done, then I had to go into the center of the ship. Here I used the cube from the objective devices, blew it up as big as they could go. Then I did the circle trick with them to show the green glow of the interior of the ship. Next, I used another piece from that same robot volcano base gallery to act as the opening where the beam of light would shoot out. My beam of light is simply a beacon from the beacons gallery, and I pointed it straight down into the Empire State Building. And this was essentially the whole build of the ship. It was really simple. The final step was to set up the whole cinematic sequence. I used yet again the beacon gallery to have the little stars that appear on the ship, and I used the meteor particle gallery to act as the explosion that rolls out towards you in the city. I also threw in some explosives to blow up the Empire State Building, and that is basically the entire build. But let me show you how I did the mechanics of the cinematic sequence first. Okay, so the key to this whole sequence is using a sequencer. So you can see here, these are all the triggers that are triggering everything in that cinematic. The first thing that happens is the player spawns in this room, And then I have triggers on both of these doors which trigger the sequencer. Now, one thing that's really important on these triggers is I put a 5-second delay. That gives the player long enough to come out, look up, and then they start to see the sequence happening. So now the sequence starts and it triggers this trigger here, channel 2, all the way up to 10 before there's a little break. So now what's happening here is that channels 2 through 9 are making these custom beacons here, the little stars that I have, appear one at a time. So you can see here I have an enabling when receiving from channel 2, and that this is disabled during all phases. That way it's not appearing at the beginning of the map. And then that last trigger, trigger 10 down there, triggers the beam beacon, and that enables when receiving from channel 10. That's the whole like firing sequence. And then these triggers right here up till 18 are triggering off all of these explosives that trigger off boom, 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 and so on, all the way down the whole Empire State Building. And then once these ones go off here, all of these balls right here are the big meteor particle galleries that will now appear sequentially as it hits these triggers. The final trigger, channel 28, makes everything disappear. So all of these beacon galleries will shut off, so it appears like the ship is done, and basically the whole city's destroyed. You're just kind of left in this green field. Now, I could have made it look more post-apocalyptic after, but I didn't want to do that. And that's basically it, guys. Let's go watch it one more time. We're gonna go out the door, so here's our little 5-second delay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you should start to see the, yeah, there they are. I know I counted a little fast there. Okay, and then here it comes. Boom, there is all the explosions, and that's it. New York is destroyed. Thanks a lot, aliens. Well, that's it, guys. I can't wait for season 7 tomorrow. The code for this map is in the description below, and have an awesome day.